All right, we'll call the Beaufort County Board of Education agenda setting meeting of October 28, 2019 to order. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
And a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Unanimous approval. You'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The media has been properly notified. In attendance today, we have the board officers, Dr. Rodriguez, Robin Cushingberry, and two other board members are present, Tricia Fidrich and Earl Campbell. All right, we need approval of each of the committee meeting minutes. We'll do September, we can do them together or separately, whatever you guys prefer.
Okay. I move that we approve the September 24th and October 16th committee meeting minutes. These.
They're in your folder.
What changes do you have that I need to make?
Really, you should, I'll
Yeah,
second it so we
okay.
can discuss it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what changes?
I didn't see any, but, William, did you have some?
Actually, I didn't, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see anything either that needed correction.
I thought I was, for the October, it said that I was absent.
It says you were absent from the vote. You got there after we had already started the meeting and taken that vote, and you left before we adjourned. So we had the two motions for voting. You weren't available for those two motions.
I know I did. I do remember. I remember me voting on something. I remember being not present on both on everything. I don't remember that. I don't recall that.
You weren't present for when we took the vote for the motions, because that was at the beginning of the meeting.
Right.
And you weren't, and we only took two motions. So we voted, well, three. We voted for the agenda. You weren't there at the beginning. And so we didn't have any minutes for October 16th. And then the next vote was adjourning, and you left before we adjourned. So those were the only two motions, and that's what I had, that you were absent from the vote.
You know what we could do, William, to speed
And I
things along?
and I have the video
We
already.
could- Yeah, one is we could just amend it to approve the September
September
24th meetings and postpone the approval for October 16th until the next agenda setting meeting, and you can look at the video.
That sounds fine.
Okay, so that's my amendment. Who
Okay.
seconded my
I
amendment?
second.
Okay. And all those in favor of the amendment? Okay, and then that means that the original motion to approve both has gone away. We can't approve
Right.
both. Okay. So, now we're on to the setting the agenda for the board meeting next week on November 5th. And we have a draft in front of us, and as you guys have already pointed out, the date on it needs to be corrected to November 5th. And I know we have quite a few things for the executive session.
I just started with 5 o'clock. I'm
Yeah.
not sure what time you all want it, so.
I don't know, I think Dr. Rodriguez might have a better idea. Does that sound right for
Yeah.
these things? Because you know more details about some of them, like the top 3.
Yeah, I think, so, the third one, could become a moot point by then.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
but nonetheless, I think an hour is probably good, because I think there'll be conversations on, maybe not the grant writer, but certainly, some people might have, things I wanna talk about the, P-card audit, RFP and financial advisor RFP.
Okay.
So, and board usually has probably about, a fair number of questions around, personal ratification
Yeah,
reports.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
All right, and as we're now doing, and the board has directed us to do, we'll, what do I wanna say? If we're not done, we're gonna stop at 5:55, so people can go to the bathroom, and start the public session at 6, and we'd have to,
We'll recess this.
yeah,
until back.
and go back after before the meeting adjourns. Okay.
You'd have to, on the RFP one,
Mm-hmm.
right? You'd wanna go back, I think, before board business, right? Because the board would probably
Well,
have the opportunity to take some action on some of that, right?
I don't think, okay, so right now we have the RFP things under board business, but really it could be under here, action is necessary, coming out of executive session, because then if we did have to split the executive session, it would be covered.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So,
See, when we take them out of board business, and if whatever you all vote on, they'll come
right,
back. Okay.
so it would be the last three,
Three.
right, cause
Yeah.
it's already covered,
Okay.
and that way, if we haven't gotten to it, we're okay.
Perfect.
Alright. Alright, so now we'll go back to, and we have the disclaimer there, action is necessary or appropriate regarding matters discussed in executive session. Alright.
I'm sorry, can I
yeah,
go
go
back
ahead.
for a second, just for clarity? We're taking them out of board business action, because you might take action coming out of executive session.
And that's usually what we do.
But if we don't get to them in executive session, right, we'll go back in executive
Executive
session
session,
later,
and then
come
when we
out,
come out
and then
again,
take
yes,
action.
exactly.
Yes.
That was my
Okay.
idea.
Yep.
All right, that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah,
That way I think
I just
we're
didn't wanna leave them off of any action, we
Right.
needed some
Right.
action, so,
Yep.
Yeah, and if we have to split up the executive session, that's what we do.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Alright, so the student performance, Coosa Elementary, what kind of performance?
She hadn't told me yet.
Okay, so we can add
Mhm.
who it is.
She'll add me.
Yeah, exactly.
Once I get the
Okay.
detailed info.
The points of celebration, we have the September Character Education Student of the Month, SC Ready and Pass Maximum Scores, as we did
Right,
on
it's like that.
at the Hilton Head Library, and Palmetto Gold and Silver Awards. Okay. That sounds good.
Are the, we were waiting for the flags for the.
Yes, they're here.
They're here, okay.
Good remembering.
Yeah.
So you will actually present those to actually the principals of every school that receives that, correct?
I think so, yeah. That's the way
Yeah, I
it's
think that
done,
would be
right?
good.
That's the way it's been
You're gonna do
done?
the
That's the way
flag
it
is.
to
Yeah.
each of those schools.
Yeah.
North and south of the road?
Yeah, we couldn't do it south last time
Right.
because they weren't here, so I think I'd just do them all
Do them
together.
all together.
So they've all been invited?
Yeah, well, they will be.
Do you know about how much of a mother?
Weren't there 9? 8?
I think so.
Trying to remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Oh, I have the list, wait a minute. I'm all prepared to do.
Well, there you go.
With my nice notebook. And you tell from that list, right? Is that how you tell? Or do you do excellent and good, or what do you do?
Oh.
Okay. Is that right?
Well,
That's the South Carolina report card.
Yeah,
yeah, that's not the same, because I think we just have to do some row
Yeah.
aspects too.
Okay, now,
Yeah.
alright, but you think about 8 or 9.
I think
I'll
about
see
8
this
or
one.
9, yeah.
Okay.
That's no problem. It's
I'll
fine.
try to find out.
It's not about just one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but while we're in here, I'll try to find out right now. So we'll get.
And are there about 90 kids also for the?
No, many
It was
fewer.
more south of the broad than
Yeah.
we were on one place.
Okay.
But I thought the way you did it was
Oh,
very
with
good,
the- with
as
the-
a group,
yeah,
and
yeah.
had them come forward, their families on the kind of
Yeah.
periphery. I thought that was good.
Yeah.
Alright.
Can I just ask one?
Yes,
Sorry.
go
But
right
by
ahead.
this time, we will have changed our clocks, right?
Yes, because don't we do that this weekend?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
And so then by the time we come out of executive session, 6 o'clock, and then these kids go outside to have their picture taken, since we're at the county council chambers, it's what we normally do, right? It's gonna be dark. I mean, I'm just, something to
Yeah,
think
Maybe
about.
Jim can take their picture while we're in executive session.
Perfect.
Oh, that's a
Right.
great idea.
And then.
Ask
and
them
then
to come
I'll go
early,
on
have them
live.
Yeah.
come
you should
early.
have to get them
Otherwise, we can't get an outside picture. They probably could be taken inside too.
The,
Yeah,
at
Just
the,
for crowd.
at Hilton Head, at the library, they have to take them inside, I think.
Do
Do
they?
they have to take them
They
inside
can
because of
do,
the
they
weather
can
or
do
something?
them, over by the door, because they're not gonna be 90 kids.
Okay.
So they can
You're
do
right,
them
that's right.
inside, that back door outside the chamber. They would
Okay.
be able to take them in.
Just something to think about, to plan for, okay.
Yeah.
And
So that's
in
great
that
thinking.
beginning area, when you first walk in, it's pretty large for enough kids to hop together.
Enough. All right, and we're on to public comments, and that looks our usual stuff there. Meeting minutes, October 15th and the 25th. Chairman's report, committee reports.
So did you want the committee reports on this meeting, or do you want them at the November?
well, you have to report from, you had a meeting between,
We're having one Wednesday,
Yeah,
Wednesday.
right, and we're going to
Okay.
have 2 ARs.
so you,
that
And
we should-
operations.
We were trying to do the committees on the second, meeting of each month, but we don't have tons of stuff on
On
this.
this one.
Yeah, I think it'd be fine
I
if we did
think,
it.
I think the next one is on the superintendent's report.
Yeah.
I think may have a lot on the next one.
On the second one in November?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
then
So,
let's
because
do
there's
it
some
here.
PEs there that, I think, right, that we would be reporting.
Right, because we're going to be doing a PE in the academic committee on our November 20th meeting, but wait, that's right.
That's after.
That's
That's
after.
right
That's right after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess you'll know after Wednesd's meeting what PEs, because I think it's helpful if they're listed here.
Yeah,
I usually,
We have two ARs.
I'm sorry.
It's virtual learning and graduation requirements.
Yes, thank you.
Operation has a PE that I didn't,
Okay,
but it's reported out, and finance has a motion that's gonna be on this agenda.
okay. And you have the motion?
I have to go look at the minutes.
I put it there.
Mhm.
Okay.
I would write the motion out. so
Yeah.
that-
And the results committee, Kathy?
Weren't you all gonna update them about, is this where you're gonna pass out the final for the board to look at, or not at this meeting?
I don't know, because we,
That's the only reason why I can't.
yeah, we haven't had the final in our hands yet.
Okay.
So, I mean, we, last time we met, Daniel had the format, but it wasn't, he had.
But you'd still have a report
Oh,
probably.
yeah, I think David
Yeah.
would definitely have a report.
And even if you had the final rubric or whatever, we're not gonna vote on it, are we, or would we? I guess if we had it in advance, what are you meaning?
We had to schedule a meeting.
We didn't.
We haven't
we didn't
scheduled one,
schedule
because you
one.
need to schedule a meeting with Dr. Rodriguez first.
Right.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
so
committee
chances
wanted
are
to
you
meet.
just, that David will give an update as
Right.
opposed, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And let's see,
Yeah,
are we
because
missing
Dr.
anybody
Rodriguez
here?
needs to look at it.
I didn't know if I should put ACE on there or not. Do I need to?
Well, will you have a BJ ACE report?
No, because we won't have a meeting until 21st.
Okay, until after this, okay.
We don't.
Right. All right, and then superintendent's report.
So,
Cupboard is bare.
yeah, one of the things, we could add just to the conversation with
Yeah.
the board is a data dashboard that we're
I
we're
remember.
building, right? And so I think we have we're at a place where, we can share that.
That'd be great. I remember that from your interview. It was really
Yeah.
awesome.
Is that under student achievement?
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
never seen
Yeah.
achievement, yeah, yeah.
That'd be really good.
And also under administrator, I mean, it kind of touches
Yeah,
both,
it
doesn't
could,
it?
yeah.
Because it's their,
Yeah,
their.
that's right, because
yeah.
it's part of what we use in the conversations process of the,
Building the master schedule and everything, is that what you said?
it's not the, it's not the, master board analysis
Thank you.
piece, it's a dashboard, where we have multiple data points
Uh-huh.
on there, that we
It's not.
use to guide some conversations when we visit schools and when we go through evaluation process with administrators.
Okay,
So it's that kind of thing.
so it definitely falls under high qualified.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would fall.
Number 2 as well.
That too, so.
9.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
9.
So keep it under student achievement then, and not under administrative.
Wherever y'all are most comfortable, I'm fine.
Student matters. Student achievement.
Okay.
And you can just state that it segues into both.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
All right. And like we won't have the board budget, until the next one. Okay. Now, the business action, the,
I wasn't sure, I put the approval of the legislative agenda, because you were gonna do a letter, but is that gonna come back by November 5th, or is that something we need to vote in public, or just something you were gonna just circulate with the board and say,
Well,
we voted on the other one.
right, we did.
yeah,
And this was just gonna be the first pass
okay,
at it.
so
So,
don't put it
I don't
on.
know, do you think we'd be ready to vote?
Yeah,
I mean,
if you,
if I
if
get
you
it
have
out?
it in board docs Thursday
Yeah.
night, we might be.
Okay, all right.
Because people could submit, they think they could submit ahead of time, like we did when Dick Geyer did that finance letter, we said, hey, change that
Change
numbers.
this, or suggest we change this, okay, all right. Didn't
Unless
really
you
know.
don't have time to do it.
And
No, I have time to do it, I planned on having it done.
Okay.
quick question, was that the letter that was going to the legislators that, I was asking that, could we give that to them, when we had that breakfast?
Yes.
Yeah, so it'd be ready. That
So,
would be
Yeah.
great.
right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
All right. Approval of the, right, because we had you go back
You want,
and
put
correct.
just all the,
Yeah.
district.
And at that, questions have
There-
come up regarding the meeting locations and
yeah.
the county channel,
Mhm.
being able to do it, but.
The
so if you
contract,
want yeah,
the contract that we have with the county channel is for them to broadcast live at any of the 3, not counting the chamber locations that they said. So the contract is with them broadcasting it, not us using the facility.
so they broadcast from here, correct?
Yes.
So it's a live broadcast.
Yes.
But it seemed like from the questions that were being circulated that the quality of it was not the same as the quality of the broadcast at, for example, county council chambers. That's
Well,
that.
Okay, that's,
And that's going to be true because county council, everything is right there. Here, they're doing everything remotely from the truck, and they drive up their truck and they plug in outside. At county, at
So
the
that
cha-
used to
at,
be-
at the
I think
chamber,
it's-
everything is already set.
Hardwired.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
In,
Yeah.
in Bluffton, they have their council meetings, they're not equipped to do it?
At Bluffton Town, they can't do it live. They can record it, but they cannot do it live.
That seems unbelievable to me.
Because they don't have the equipment to plug in over at the town council to do it live. They're doing it with cameras and stuff,
But they have the ability at the Hilton Head Library.
because it's already set up.
Built into
Yeah.
It's already built in.
Yeah.
Just like it
Wow.
was already built in at Bluffton Library was already built in. When you go in that back room,
Yeah.
it's already built in.
So there was a request
That's
to
a pretty
review
good size,
that.
right?
Right,
Pardon me?
That's a pretty good size, right?
but Bluffton,
The problem is the acoustics now are not good at all.
Because they took the carpet off the
Carpet out.
floor,
Got it.
and they're not gonna put carpet back on the floor, because they said it was too much to keep it clean. It was easier just to sweep the
And
floor.
they didn't have really very good air conditioning either.
Okay.
It was not it should be a good venue because of the size, but
Yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't.
size
Yeah.
up,
yeah, but there were concerns about acoustics. So I guess we'll just have that discussion when we talk about that then.
Yeah.
I mean.
We can bring forward some of these things that have come up since then.
Yeah,
Okay. Because we didn't approve it. I was the one that said to put it on to make the
You
changes.
didn't approve the calendar, but you all voted to
To
change the
sites.
meeting.
Yes,
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
right.
That's right.
Right.
So now that the site had been changed, you asked me to go change that on the calendar.
Right.
Because I
So we
had
could
the
see
two different
exactly
places, yes.
what it
So
would be.
should we add then, since this says only the calendar, do we need to add something that says we're gonna revisit the conversation about the sites?
You're revoting again?
Well, we would think somebody would have to.
Make a motion?
Yeah,
On the prevailing side.
On the
Yeah.
prevailing side,
And-
exactly.
John Dowling has
He has.
sent a request.
Oh, he has?
He did.
Yes,
Okay.
he
He
did.
did. He
He
sent
sent
it.
a
He was on the
request.
prevailing
He was
side.
on the prevailing
Right.
side, yeah.
Okay, so then, I think, so that would be a meeting location,
Yes.
correct? So I
Yeah.
think we need to have that on there then.
So I'll have that before the voting of the calendar.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we will put that on this calendar already? I mean, on this, well, I guess we are discussing it.
Because we can't really vote on the
Calendar.
calendar
Calendar.
until that's sorted out.
So we know where we're gonna have the meetings.
All right.
All right, so I would lift that above, or
Mhm.
discussion.
About the
That would be really,
discussion of,
and,
revote? I mean,
yeah, you can look it back at the other,
Okay.
agendas where we've done that.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't remember exactly the
I
wording.
forgot that.
Reconsideration or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I'll go back and get that.
Yeah.
The last thing I had, and not sure how to word it, but, we had put this on to this meeting. White
Yeah, and Story.
Mhm.
I think that, well, White and Story LLC discussion.
So approved list. John was on the prevailing side in voting on getting it on the list. Because this is the same thing, you're
Right.
asking to revote again
Right,
for something you've already voted on.
right. Now to have it removed.
Right.
Right. So I don't know if you should, because that's the,
Revote.
yeah.
Well, the
Just-
vote was to add
them.
was
To
to
add
add them.
them,
But now it's to remove them.
right.
So you're revoting to remove them off.
Yeah, you have to look, I don't know what the wording should be.
But shouldn't it be the same shouldn't it be the same, just like,
Yeah, but we can't not add them because we've.
right,
used
because they
them
were
since
already
then.
on them.
Right? We can't say, oh, they weren't added, because we
Right,
already
'cause it-
used them and paid
Right.
their bill.
And they were,
So
and they were
it's gotta be-
voted,
it's
and they
gotta
were
be to
on
take
them.
them off.
Right,
Yeah,
we're
I think
updating the
that's-
list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, update
Maybe that's the
that,
best way to
yeah,
look at it.
update the,
Discussion on update.
So how many attorneys is on that list right now?
I have it with me.
Oh, Tina, this is a process.
So this is what I did this weekend. I will find it momentarily. Here's the list.
You wanna guess ahead of time?
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Oh,
I
one,
think
two,
it's
three,
six.
4, 5. 5 non-local firms, and then 2 local firms.
7.
Bingo.
And so all
So I'm gonna get a
of
lottery
them
ticket.
are familiar with school law.
Yes, well,
Whenever
the
they
ones
get
that are
it.
further
Yeah,
away are
yeah,
more
yeah.
likely to, the ones
Yeah.
that are not local are more likely to be kind of, I guess your traditional school law firms.
But,
Because the local ones are,
well, to be honest with you, though, that's really a question that we should, discuss at the board meeting.
yeah.
Because right now,
So-
we're really just
so do we
discussing
wanna
what,
say,
what do we wanna say to
update
be
or-
on that? Yeah, on the agenda, yeah, we're having a
Or
meeting.
possible, but that's broader than just white, to remove white story.
He went specifically that, so should I keep
Yeah,
it
so
specific?
I keep it specific. That's what he asked for. So possible motion to remove, or motion to remove White and Story LLC from BOE approved list, I think that's what it should be.
Yeah.
Motion to remove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one other topic that has been put forward. It's the agreement or the discussion of the board and superintendent retreats. In your feedback that you gave us, you said if, to do it on the second day of the thing. So I kind of think the board needs to talk about that and decide
Yeah.
whether that's what,
Yeah.
You know, he suggested it, and I don't know.
Is this the board relations? That's
Yeah,
what-
I
Yeah.
think what I was
October
looking,
15th. That's what she said in the meeting.
I was looking for sort of a time that we had that would make sense to do it, where we had some time, right? So I was thinking maybe the Saturday would be the way to go, but it, you know, it doesn't have to be. I mean, we could do it however, the board wants to do it. Doesn't matter to me, right? So the other piece is, I know, I think Ms. Orshak asked a question on an email yesterday or this morning or at some point about that, second, about, you know, the board relation retreats or workshops.
Right,
So, board superintendent workshops.
yeah. So,
She has a question about that.
yeah,
Well, she did bring that forward on October 15th as future, so that was
oh,
our last meeting, right?
Yeah, Hilton had.
Yeah, as a future agenda topic. And she also brought forward TIF, Port Royal and Hilton Head Island update.
and we had talked about the impact fees also.
Yep, and we have that slated for the November, the second meeting of the
The
month.
second meeting,
Yeah,
okay.
Because I thought they'd have
okay,
enough information by then.
Okay, got it.
Actually, Joanne had a third request at the future agenda topics on October 15th, and it was the update on the RFP stuff, and you've got it already in here.
Yeah, that's in there.
Yeah.
And, well, the other one was the MCIP ordinance, but that has been turned over to an attorney, right?
Right.
Well, so.
Is there,
Yeah, I mean, at some point, we'll have to revisit that maybe on the 19th or so. Because, you know, my action was simply to try to bring some resolution to some
Yeah,
questions that
right.
were being thrown around.
Mhm.
In the midst of it, some objections were raised to, you know, or
The
about
process.
the process with the individual. So I'm at a point where I've asked that individual to stop so we don't
Okay.
keep getting billed. I'm now taking a step back and I'm gonna say that the board has to sort out what it wants to do in terms of moving forward with this process because it's based on a board vote from the past.
Mhm.
And I think the board has to determine whatever decision's made, I'll execute. But
Right.
in the meantime, I was trying to provide some
So,
assistance.
so basically the board needs to have a discussion about that and figure out which direction we wanna go with that, basically.
Well,
Go ahead.
no, I think maybe the smartest move would be to have the attorney that's already started to look at it, that you said put the brakes on,
Yep.
come and give legal advice in executive session, what what he's done so far, maybe he can't yet.
Yeah,
But that would be my suggestion, because basically we're looking at
that's a good idea.
the contracts to see.
But also my dilemma in that is the question is, do the board as a whole want that the individual to come and speak to them about it versus deciding how far and which way we want to go with that situation. To have someone coming and speaking on that is a little different versus the board saying, hey, we agree, we want to move forward with this. I mean, if it's a board decision, then the board needs to say, hey, look at the next move exactly is this.
Well, I think
Versus inviting someone in and coming and telling, hey, this is what I've worked on, and this is where I'm at with it.
Well, my understanding was that one is this MOU resulted from board business, period. It was board approved. So we have to either execute it or get an attorney involved to say, is this proper, or whatever word you want to use, or, you know, is this MOU something we should be doing, or no, the board didn't have informed consent. I don't know what it is, but,
Right.
you know. So it seemed that really these questions could not be answered without legal counsel getting involved, and when Dr. Rodriguez said he was going to get an attorney to look at it, and Wendy picked the attorney, you know, that seemed to be satisfying, especially the board members that had so many questions. So I don't think we can just
something has to be done.
Right, and what I'm saying is that maybe this need to be the conversation where Dr. Rodriguez, he has already went out and did what the board had asked him, and apparently he
No,
did.
no, I wanna correct, the board didn't ask me to do anything, but the board was raising a lot of questions, the emails back and forth, right?
Right, okay.
And so, I was looking at that and I'm thinking to myself, okay, we have an agreement, you know, I mean, what are we gonna do? Staff is trying to sort out how they might need to work with this other, institution, right? And so I thought we need some clarity around this, right? So I thought, trying to be helpful, I'd move forward and get somebody to come look at this and give us legal advice, opinion on this, right? But then they said, great, right? Yeah, perfect, good job, thank you, right? Then, when the individual wanted to ask questions and meet with people, then all of a sudden objections were raised. So I told the individual, I said, okay, now you gotta stop, right? Just stop, okay, take a step back. And now where we're at is, I'm not gonna have him keep doing work because I think at this stage, the board has to determine, what the next step is gonna be. And if the board is gonna move forward with the agreement as is, then, you know, I'll need that direction so we can go and execute on that agreement. And if we're not going to, then, I mean, that has all sorts of other ramifications that people, I think, should be aware of what that might be, you know?
And the other thing that was happening.
If in fact, you know, that contract or whatever is legal contract, right, then if you're breaking
And it
it.
seemed like from the emails that were circulating, individual board members were going and meeting with, like, how should I say,
Parties involved?
parties involved. And I think, you know, we're working as a board as a whole. The board approved MOU, although the board voted to approve the arrangement, we never saw the agreement that was signed 6 months later. So I don't see how you can possibly solve it without getting an attorney involved. I just don't.
I think the objection is that the attorney that was chosen unbeknownst, who would know? Exactly, actually had a part in the origination of it. That's
I think it was in an earlier
Oh,
attempt at
absolutely.
an agreement,
Yeah.
right? In an
Right.
earlier attempt at an agreement.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
so that's where I
the
think-
attorney has to then come and explain, he didn't
Okay.
reveal that,
Yeah.
Right.
that was a, I
Right.
mean, they're calling it some members are thinking it's a conflict.
Right.
Well, obviously he didn't because he has to by being the,
Right,
you know.
so that would be a good thing to.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we should have him in
Executive
to, yeah, so we,
he
Can I just
explain.
ask, is that executive session worthy? I just want to
Yes,
make
because
sure.
it's legal advice.
Is he actually good? I mean,
Yeah, because he's gonna look at the documents and he'll give legal advice. And
Could-
explain
could-
either why he has a
could-
conflict or no, he doesn't have a
So
conflict.
we gonna add that to this executive session?
No, how about, we already got way too much, I think, in this one. How about, and that wouldn't give the guy time enough. Let's have him come on the 19th, the next one,
yeah.
if he's hopefully available.
Sure.
Okay.
and then, Dr. Boz,
Yes.
I didn't put this in writing yet,
Yes.
but I was hoping that we could, have a conversation about the school calendar as far as requesting that Dr. Rodriguez, direct the staff to do a waiver. You know, getting the
So-
start time earlier is one of our legislative objectives.
Yeah,
And so I was hoping that maybe, I don't know exactly how to do this, but it
so do you think it should
60
come out
days.
of the academics or no, just?
Well, and that's what, if so, then I think we can add it to this, and so how, I don't know exactly how it should be done, so we could add it to this Wednesday's
And
agenda.
then bring a motion
And
out
then
of
bring a motion?
academic committee
I
that we.
think that would be the
Yes,
best
yes.
way to do
Let's
it.
add that then, that's
Yeah.
why I wanted to come today, let's
Yeah,
add that
that's
to.
good.
That's a
Okay.
good one.
Okay,
That would solve.
yes,
No problems.
yes, it would. Yes,
Okay,
it would.
thank you.
So is that going under,
It's going
It
to.
will go
academic-
under academics committee when we get the motion and we got ARs, right?
right, but wouldn't we be taking board action on that?
Yeah, but there's a disclaimer right here, it will
Yeah.
take place on any potential
Okay.
recommendations, exactly.
Um, So just so I know, do I write the motion or does someone else write the motion?
The motion comes out of academics, so
Right.
you would write.
We would craft it then.
You would craft
Craft it right then and there.
Yeah.
And then the motion comes out of academics as being moving it to the full
Full
board.
board, yeah. That sounds good. Yeah.
Anything else that,
That we can think of.
emails that were passed around?
No, I have, like I said, that was the board and superintendent retreat kind of coming to a conclusion about how we were gonna do that.
And so remind me where that is.
Well, I don't know,
Is that under that would be under future topics?
I mean, to be honest with you, right, on the 15th, we have this piece
Oh.
on
strategic
governance.
governance.
That is something that one of these superintendent board workshops should be about. That's a
Right.
topic of our work together.
Yeah,
So I-
exactly.
I mean, to me, that could count as one, because that makes sense to me.
So.
But if you wanna wait for a conversation with everyone, I'm open to that too.
Yeah, I think that's something that we need to wait with everyone, so that everyone can get agreement, that something can be put out there, but.
So where do you
Well-
suggest we have it on the?
Would it be possible to work that conversation in on the 15th? Probably not, because we're gonna be,
Because we're already gonna be there.
we're already, I mean, 'cause we're already gonna be
Well,
there, but I know that we shortened the presentation already, correct? Because it's starting after the legislative breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
That's
gonna be about 6 hours is what
Yeah.
Dr. Torrey
Um,
estimated. Well, how about, could you put it under supervision and evaluation of the superintendent? That wouldn't be board, well, it does say a vote could be taken to explain, talk about it briefly, and just say that you feel that what we already have scheduled for November 15th would be a good starting one? Yeah, because that would be a good place to put it.
Yeah, that's
Put that,
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, under 5.
absolutely.
Yes.
So what do we put, board relation?
No, superintendent board workshops.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then you can talk about the first one. That sounds good.
And then, can I just have one more
Yes.
thing? This is November 5th.
Yes.
Polls close at 7.
Yes.
We will still be in session.
Yeah.
And is there, any room in here? Are we gonna even make mention of the fact that the polls, by 7 o'clock, we should know which way the referendum is trending.
Yeah, we should know the trend, but we may not know the final result. We probably will know the final result or likely result.
I just think,
Well,
we're
I-
in session, it'd be kind
I
of
think-
disingenuous that we don't even,
But-
or at least mention it. Could we break out the champagne, or should we break out the Kleenex? I don't know.
Well, I was thinking, I was honestly, since I was the chair, I was gonna have a statement ready or think about
Okay,
what I
cool.
wanted to say.
And-
And really, that's what I thought, and I think Dr. Rodriguez needs, or we need something jointly or something.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so, does that have to go in a certain spot? I just don't know. Can you just interject, I guess?
Yeah.
Well, we could put it under announcements,
yeah.
That'd be a great
Yeah,
place.
because we might even know by then.
because that's towards the end of
Right.
the
We
meeting.
might,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And
We'll
I
have
think
to
it
put
just,
announcements on the agenda, so.
yeah.
you don't have to?
No, we haven't been.
Yeah, I just think it would be
Yeah.
important to
Right.
just say,
No, I think it's also really important if it's successful to thank the community. and-
Yes.
right.
And that we have a big task ahead of us in terms of our responsibility of,
Yep.
You have to thank them regardless.
of lunch money.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah,
Either way?
yeah.
either way, we have to be
Yeah.
graceful regardless,
Exactly.
you know?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and, yeah, okay, good.
Good, another good thought. I'll just remind me. Or just remind them. Then we got public comments for 15 minutes. And a couple people have asked me, why do we have it twice on the agenda? Not board members.
Because some people can't make it again the meeting, and they come in towards the middle of the meeting, and then they can say whatever's on their heart, and that's a long time to wait until the next meeting to
So
say
is that how it
any
came
comments.
Is it better to just have it at the end?
No, I think both of them is better because you have some people who are getting off, and who may want to just come in and say what the others say, and some people may not want to go say, well, parents come and they bring their kids and for the performance at the beginning, and then they leave right after that. So you may have someone who may want to come in and then do that, and then you may have someone who may have missed it, and now they want to come in at the end and say something. So I mean, I think both of them as important. I mean, I think that it's coming from someone who used to be in those seats.
Yeah.
I think they both are not necessary.
It is a limited, a lesser time. We seem to model a lot of what we do after the Beaufort County Council.
Yeah.
How do they do it?
They do it-
both?
Then you go.
Yeah, but this first public comment, if I'm not mistaken, has to pertain to the agenda.
Agenda,
items.
yes.
That's
The
a lot of-
second public comment
Can
can be about
whatever they want to.
anything.
Yeah.
And that's, it's not just two open public comments
Yeah.
about anything, and so that's, I would imagine that's why.
Right, but also I believe they have every time they talk about something in particularly, then they open up to the public. Once they start talking, do it well. If my memory serves me correct, if they're talking about moving something along 802, anyone from the public, do you have anything to say about this? And then you speak. And so that's a little more different because now you let them speak throughout your meeting versus we only let people speak at two individual times, one at the beginning and one at the end. So that's a little different.
I think in Palm Beach,
Wasn't like that when I
we
was-
had agenda speakers, and then we had public comments, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's how it is.
So I'm curious, Earl, since you're the veteran board member, has it been like this for a long period of time, or have we ever limited to the
We-
agenda items, blah,
we-
blah, blah?
At first, we only had one
Okay.
public comment.
And where was it in the meeting?
It was
At
at
the beginning.
At the beginning. Now, county council, they have at the beginning, but it pertains to what's on their agenda. For instance, if they have to approve something, then the person could come up and speak on that. And then at the last one, you can speak on any issue you want. And most, the majority of school boards that I know of, they only have one
Yeah.
announcement.
In the front, at the
In the
beginning.
front of the meeting.
Yeah. See, one has to be in the beginning because if you're voting on something as
Yeah.
a board,
Yes.
right,
Right.
and people have something to say,
Right.
it doesn't do them any good to say it after
After
you've
the fact.
voted, right?
Right.
It's important
I
for,
agree.
so that's probably why they all do it
Yeah.
at the front.
And do you know if most boards limit it to just the agenda items, or no, not necessarily at all?
Some boards do,
Yeah.
and some boards don't.
Well, are we gonna take action on that today or something? Or?
No,
No.
I was just curious. Yeah, no. All right, do we have any further,
Yes, you wanted to talk about November 15th.
okay.
The
Oh,
proposal-
so the next
agenda
agenda
for
for November 15th. Yeah, okay, so we'll go,
So we're having what's an agenda for November 15th today as well?
we can.
We can, or we just give some guidelines as to moving forward and then pick a date to set the agenda. But the agenda for the 15th is the workshop for the strategic planning.
I think we should probably pick a date to do that. I don't know.
Do what?
So
We already did.
we are, so
Oh,
November
Oh,
15th
He means for
is,
the agenda.
Yeah, for the agenda, just in case someone wants to be here to talk about that agenda. So yeah.
Well, we have don't forget, we have discussion of any other board meeting agendas, and it's the next one on the agenda setting. Well, I don't think there's much to set for that
Much to
agenda.
it really isn't, it's just basically the time and, she wants to, get a time. First of all, I need to tell her, are we moving forward with her? So,
Yes.
the second thing is, her fee for the work would be $1,500 plus directly related reasonable expenses, copying, mileage, etc., which is standard. She says for this, you'll get at least one planning conversation with Dr. Guads, Dr. Rodriguez, to better understand the board and district history and ascertain their goals for the session. At least 1.5 days of planning to include, but not limited to, review and becoming familiar with our updated strategic governance policy manual, our current strategic plan, current mission goals, etc. Then preparing for up to a 6-hour strategic planning session, length to be determined by the district. Told her that she gave me the average was 6 hours. With the board and the district leaders on November 15th in Beaufort. the leadership of board and district leadership strategic governance session on November 15th. So that's what her $1,500 will be covering, include, then copying mileage, et cetera, documented with original receipts.
Okay, so, and we know the timeframe and that that's the same morning, correct, as the legislative
So the legislative breakfast is
the
from
teacher forum?
8, correct, is from 8 to 10. And so.
And then do you have to modify the room?
We do have to modify the room,
Okay.
so Molly says, especially since the students from Battery Creek will be here, so they were a big help in modifying the room for us the next day, so we thought with their help in putting the chairs up, we can get everything turned around within an hour.
Okay, so then if we did 11 to 5, but we gotta have some lunch.
We would have lunch, I talked with Matt, we could plan lunch about 1:30 or 2. We think that's a natural time frame break.
Could
And-
do working lunch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
working lunch,
you
so
can
we
do it
work
from
throughout
there.
it, yeah.
Because it's a Friday,
Mhm.
and I think we should just, go with what she recommends in terms of the time frame.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will that not be allowed in that one day?
Kind of no different.
Yeah, it will be, because we have the teacher forum, and that's a great way to meet with the legislators. That kills sort of 2 birds with 1 stone. And that's not a board meeting per se, but it's an event that the board's been invited to, that also includes the
I'm just wondering, is that a lot going on, or a lot to take in one day?
it is a lot.
Right, so I'm just saying, maybe should we look at another date on that?
Well, we gave the board members the option between the 15th and the 16th,
And
and they
more
chose the
Majority of
15th.
you all picked the 15th.
Okay.
And the
Yeah.
way the schedule is set is it's
I'm not
pretty
out of
much,
town on the 16th.
You're out of town on the 16th?
Okay.
But
The
you're here on
15th,
the,
whenever we're done here.
you're leaving, okay. So,
but usually our work session schedule for the 15th and 16th starts from, usually we go on Fridays from, we start breakfast at 8 or 8:30, and we would go to 5 or 6, and then we turn around and come back here on Saturday. So what you're getting done during this time period is kind of our standard schedule already of what we do for a work session.
mhm.
And also, has the board approved the price of that as
So we
a
can
whole?
bring it to the board.
You didn't have it last time.
Yeah. we
I think,
didn't have it.
I think we need to bring that to the board, the price
What
of
do you
that.
think?
It's cheap.
I-
To get all that is,
It's under the $2,000 mark, so we don't have to go out for bid or
Yeah.
anything, so it's
Yeah.
under our it falls under our procurement.
Yeah, that is really inexpensive. Now, let me ask this question.
Mhm.
This is, kind of under the guise of, one part of it is Dr. Rodriguez's, meeting with the board, these board, workshops. So would your budget pick it up?
Or split it.
I mean, so
They got
we have to
the
think
money.
about that down
I'm serious, they got the money, yeah, why we split it then?
down the road, if we're gonna bring in, I don't know what exactly you
Yeah.
envisioned for these
Yeah.
retreats or whatever,
Yeah.
but, so that's just a
That's a
question.
good,
Could your budget, absorb it?
Well.
That's, the board should pay for it. The board paid for it before. I don't think he should go into his budget. Well, that's what, because that's what the board should do. They should do it and pay for it. That's all.
If I remember a conversation that we had here when you were explaining the PEs and everything, it was like, there was a conversation amongst us where it was like, okay, so, but how do we use these? And you said, well, this is this governance, and so we said, well, we need to learn about that.
Yes.
So I would suggest that since we initiated this, but it also is, 2 birds, 1 stone, which I hate that saying, but I think of a better one off the top of my head, then I think we could split it.
so I guess she won't be able to get to work on it though until we vote on it. That's
Until I need to, right.
right, which is not particularly great, because that doesn't allow her much time.
I think those were 10 days, right?
Yeah, if we can. I guess that's probably the best thing is to
Where does it go on the agenda?
So let's see.
Wait,
How about under,
where,
board
Or-
business?
or-
yeah, board
or-
business
or-
under supervision and value, where he was gonna talk
Yeah,
about it, then we
exactly,
could make
A motion.
then after he talks about this here, then we make a motion to,
Approve it.
approve.
I think, that when we do it that way, under,
Yeah.
superintendent's,
Report.
report, right, evaluation. I think you may have some board members that say, well, since it's coming under your thing, you pay for it.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, then we can put
Well,
it.
that's when Tricia can bring up her point that she's brought up, and she can, you know, she's already,
Sure,
she's already.
Or we can
I'm just
put it
thinking
under-
ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know,
yeah.
that-
Or we can put it under board
Board
business
action.
action.
Yeah, let's just put it under board business
I-
action.
Yeah, that's fine. So
And
it can be.
the genesis of it was this, the
Because the
board.
board operates under
Yes.
strategic
Right.
governance, and the board needs to understand
Yes.
what strategic governance
Yeah.
is.
That really is what it is, and like Mr. Campbell said, I mean, it's.
I don't know, I always think it's kind of splitting hairs too, whether, whose budget is.
I
you
know.
know,
It's all the
revenue
same,
source.
it's all the
You know, if we
same.
had different revenue sources,
Yeah.
Right.
different follow acts,
Yeah.
but we have the
Yeah.
same revenue sources. So,
So.
so let's put it under board business
Under
action.
board business action, yeah.
And just say,
And it's a total of 1,500.
Well,
Well,
plus
not to
expenses.
exceed 2,000, it looks like, because of expenses,
Okay.
right? What do you think? Yeah.
but their expenses have to be whatever our expenses
Oh.
are,
For the
like they
government rate.
can't, the government rate,
Yeah,
exactly,
the
they
government
can't, right, they can't go
So
have
she
a
wouldn't
lunch
get the
for
mileage
$50
because we
pay
do the
for it.
copying.
Well, like,
that
and I
she would-
think if she's going to, if she's gonna say, okay, I've gotta make all these copies for everybody, or just send us the stuff we'll make.
Well,
Right, and I've already told her that, she
Yeah.
Oh,
already,
you
she
did?
already
Okay,
exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're just reimbursing her for mileage and her regular government expenses.
And she could eat lunch with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And maybe that lunch should be like finger food, like, you know what I mean, just
Yeah,
easier
just
to
quick.
eat
Yeah.
instead
Yeah,
of having
something quick,
fork
yeah.
and knife
Yeah.
and spoon,
Yeah.
you know.
Or we could save a lot of money if we had pizza, or something like that, pizza and salad. you know?
Yeah.
Seriously, I don't know. Okay, so that sounds good.
Yeah.
Like that, so I think,
Do you
then
wanna
we don't need
schedule
a
a,
separate meeting, I don't think, for the,
not for the 15th, but what for the 19th? Do you wanna schedule a meeting for the next board meeting?
Yes.
for the 19th, yes. So what would that normally be? It would be.
The 11th?
11th, right?
Mhm.
Veterans
For
Day.
Veterans Day, yeah.
We're working a meeting on
School that
Veterans
day.
Day, yes,
Yep.
4:30?
That's fine with me.
Does that work for you, William? On the
Oh.
That's
11th,
Monday.
agenda setting?
And then you said that's on Veterans Day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is it gonna be, and do it here?
It's wherever you want to.
Have you looked at your calendar for Veterans Day?
Yeah, let's see where you are.
Yeah, do you have anything going on first, foremost? Yeah, I'm sure someone's asking you to come.
No, actually, it's,
You don't have any.
I have my senior staff meeting in the morning, and, once we were back in school, I booked that for the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then that's it, that's all I got. I mean, whatever I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go right after senior staff or before senior staff to visit a school or wherever
Yeah.
something's happening
Right.
in the afternoon.
Do you think that Jim could kind of compile what is happening at the schools?
Oh, yeah.
And then so we
Yeah, that's a
we
good
could,
idea.
you know,
Yeah, great idea, that's a nice thing.
yeah, and then maybe we could,
Put it
visit
on
some
the
of those.
website too.
Absolutely. We used to do that for September 11th.
Oh.
All the schools would report in what they were doing, it was actually in the papers, yeah.
That's great.
So the next
Good
meeting,
PR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
here, where?
I know
It
Boston
doesn't
High
matter
School's
to
gonna
me.
be in Sun City. The
Oh.
veterans, the ROTC program's gonna be with the Sun City Veterans Group.
Nice.
Okay.
So, do you
Would you rather
want,
meet out there then? Do you think you would be maybe there in the afternoon? To meet at the library,
When we get
Bluffton
Bluffton
Library?
Library?
Yeah,
yeah, let's try that,
let's do the Bluffton Library.
because then we're having,
And that's on the,
11th.
Yeah, 11th at
November
4:30.
11th, 4:30.
before we do it, let me check my schedule, make sure, let me check my other schedule, make sure I don't have nothing on, yeah.
Okay, but you've got to, you know, look ahead at the meeting.
Yeah, I will.
And it's normally 8 days ahead,
Right,
so.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll check him, and make sure.
Thank you.
Before we do that, yeah.
all right, I think we don't have any further business.
Okay, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?